Hey guys, what's going on? So it's been a while since so right now I'm basically going to be making a review of a laser, basically another laser pointer that I got from my favorite laser pointer store, basically the greatest laser pointer store on planet flat Earth. I'm just kidding. But as you guys know, it's laserpointerstore.com, and I do like this place because I purchased like 11 lasers from them now, and every single one of them have arrived in working order. Plus the owner's a really nice guy and they got good customer service. So this is the Laser Model 890. As you guys, I'm sure you all have seen what it looks like. I didn't mark out my information. Here's the box that it comes in. We'll open the box up to see what's inside. Voila! Oh, it's over here. So here's the box that it actually comes in. As you guys can see, it's wrapped up in this nice little bubble wrap here. Pull it out of the package. It did actually come with a lanyard, but I took that off. So that's what it looks like. And of course, you can get this in blue, you know, 450, 445, 532, 650. Basically, those are the wavelengths that you can get them in, but I chose, obviously, the 50 milliwatt 532. So here's the laser close up. You guys are very familiar with this particular model. This one and this one, of course, are two very popular, cheap Chinese models. I say cheap as in inexpensive. I buy a lot of Chinese lasers, and they do actually work really well for what they are. Here's the back of the tail cap, the switch, which, by the way, is not glow in the dark, even though it may look like it. So we'll take this off and show you what it looks like. The threads actually feel like they're pretty good. The threads on this one and the threads on this one actually feel like they're pretty solid. The threads on like the JD 850 and 851, I don't know about. Tail cap, of course, and the spring inside there. You know, one thing I noticed about this laser, I don't know if they're all like this, but a lot of lasers that I buy, a lot of the cheaper lasers, most of the time the spring is crooked or basically soldered on. They're all cockeyed. And sometimes I have to take it out and resolder it. But this is actually perfectly straight. It's amazing. It's actually perfectly straight, not bent at all. And I'm sure this nice little attachment up here so you can put some basically tips on there for different patterns and stuff like that if you want to, but I never do that. So this laser is powered by this really awesome transparent U-235 uranium fuel rod. Look at this thing. It's amazing, huh? It's beautiful. Yep. You know, this thing that looks like a hot glue stick, but it's not. Okay, so it's actually powered by an 18650. And of course, this laser is case positive, as most green laser pointers are, thanks to the fact that the IR diode inside here does require case positive connection, most of them. So I'll put this in here like that. And like I said, the threads actually feel great. They're not all, well, messed up and chipped. It actually goes on there nice and smooth, surprisingly. So the version that I got, there's basically two output versions of the same model. There's a 50 and a 100 milliwatt 532. The one that I bought was a 50 milliwatt. Now I will be honest, I played with a lot of lasers and it feels as though this thing is actually a lot more powerful than 50 milliwatts. And I do have a meter and I will go find out exactly what it is. I haven't done that yet, but I do feel like this thing is more than 50 milliwatts, which is great because every time I purchase a laser from that store, laserpointerstore.com, every laser I get seems to be over spec. So one really cool thing about this particular model versus this particular model is this one can be taken apart in different areas, just like the JD 850 and the 851. The only bad thing about this one is it only comes apart on the head and the tail cap. It's basically press fit in there and glued, I'm sure. Like I've tried to take this thing out of there and I just can't get it out without actually damaging it. So the cool thing about this particular one is it does come apart on the very top piece, like basically this unscrews, and so does this big giant piece. And as soon as you unscrew this big piece, it will expose the entire module, which is great. I like lasers that can be taken apart fully in case you want to replace the module with a more powerful module in the future. So I do like the fact that you can take this apart in every area to expose the module itself. But to be honest, I'm not going to do that right now because I just got this thing and I don't want to go messing with it right now. Usually when I get curious in a couple of weeks, I'll take the whole thing apart. But basically, I'll just take this off to show you all. This is basically just where the focal lens is. So there's the optics, basically the lens. And then, of course, there's the module inside there where the crystal sits. Now, I wouldn't go messing with this too much. I wouldn't touch that because it could get basically knocked out of alignment. But the biggest thing is you don't want to get dust inside here. So I know this isn't going to do much good because it's just dust flying around anyways, but anytime you take a laser module apart, even one that you built, you should obviously always use compressed air. Don't ever blow on it with your mouth, which I have done before. That sounded wrong. You know, it's always best to work with these things in a dust-free environment, but it's kind of hard to do when you're in your house. So we'll put this back on there. And I guess technically you could always focus it this way too. You can probably focus it the same way since this top piece is the lens. But we'll just leave that in there like that. So yeah, pretty good quality. Okay, so here we are with the meter. We're going to find out how much power this thing is actually putting out. My guess, like I said before, is this probably is putting out more than 50 milliwatts, which would be great. It's probably putting out about 70. Now, like I said, I have not tested it yet, but so we'll turn this thing on, find out how much power it is putting out. So line it up with the sensor, wait for it to come on, and start now. Okay, so now it's starting to drop. So basically a peak of 76 milliwatts. It's actually very stable. I'm kind of surprised. It's still sitting at about 76 milliwatts. As you guys can see, it's a very stable laser, actually. I'm quite surprised. It isn't moving much. So we'll go ahead and turn it off. I don't want to leave it on too long. So I ran a test a while back. I wish I would have saved the results. I could probably redo it anyways. But I basically took an old 301 laser and I tore the crystal out of there. I tore the lens out of there, just exposing the IR diode itself. I fired the IR diode onto the sensor of the laser power meter and I got about 340 milliwatts. That goes to show you just how inefficient green laser pointers actually are, or DPSS lasers like 532. It took 340 milliwatts of IR light just to convert into 70 to 80 milliwatts of 532 light. So even though you're seeing a green laser pointer that's putting out 50, 60, 70 milliwatts, it may not seem like it's putting out that much power and it shouldn't get that hot, is what you may assume. But you got to remember that at that kind of power, the IR diode is being pushed pretty hard to get those results of 70 to 80 milliwatts of visible light. So that's why you see a lot of 100 milliwatt green laser modules having a heat sink put on them, because those do generate a pretty good amount of heat, at least the IR does. All right, so as y'all can see on the Model 890, I'm actually getting about 76 milliwatts on a supposed 50 milliwatt model. So my guess is you could buy the 100 milliwatt version and you could possibly see a 20% increase in power. All right, so that was basically just a quick review of the Laser Model 890 from laserpointerstore.com.